People pay
Bingo.
a lot more money for
Exactly.
those one-on-ones. So anyway, moving on to like, where do you see, or where do you think a lot of coaches, fitness professionals, business owners in the fitness space are going to be moving in the next 5-10 years? Do you think it's going to go more to the personal training side of things, group-led, more of a 50-50, where right now it's kind of, especially in the CrossFit community, it's still kind of like a 90-10, I'd say.
I would believe so.
Yeah.
I still think, in this area, it all has to do with your demographics. I think in Wichita, I still feel like it's more of a group setting. Your bigger cities, there's just there's more people to work with. So the personal training's a little bit tough. Like you said, it is expensive.
Yeah.
And, it should be, because they're getting your full time with that. They're getting your knowledge and your experience for that full time. Where I see it in Wichita for the future, I still feel like it's going to be more of a group setting. I still feel like that's plays to the people that we have in this area. I could be wrong. There might be a lot of people out there that I don't know yet.
Yeah.
That maybe been sitting down wanting to do that, but they just don't know how to go about it. So,
Yeah.
That could be one thing too, but I still feel like maybe the group setting is the way to be, because the group setting is where people who are maybe a little bit intimidated can kind of maybe hide sometimes in a group, and then,
or at least have the camaraderie of the
camaraderie.
group.
Yeah, that's huge in the CrossFit. Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure you can relate to this, being a group-led or a group instructor, sometimes it's kind of weird at first working with one-on-one, because you're used to being able to have dialogues with multiple people,
Sure.
multiple people pitching into the conversation. Then you're with one person, and they're, especially if they're used to a group model, then they're just kind of like, so do we talk now? Or,
that one person, you better, have a good relationship with them, or it'll be really awkward.
Yeah,
if
it'd be
you
really
guys
weird.
don't click, it's not going to last very long.
Yeah,
In a group setting, you might have one person who maybe, that's not feeling you for the day, but you got, 10 other people that are all right. So you can kind of rely on that sometimes. Other people in the group can kind of help you out sometimes.
Exactly.
When you're by yourself, you better be good.
Yeah, because other times there's people, slinging snide remarks at each other, and here you're all on your own, man.
It's true.
So that's kind of where you think coaching is going to be going in the fitness space in the future for the Wichita area. So let's kind of move into you being an athlete, and particularly let's talk about being a CrossFit athlete. And heard you just got into the Wadapalooza. So congratulations on that, man. Tell us about that, all the work that went into it, and kind of the highs and lows of being an athlete and all that stuff.
So I just recently, there's a CrossFit sanction now, Wadapalooza, that's going to happen this January in 2019 for 3 days in Miami, Florida. I went last year with a group of guys and just had a blast doing it. You got to be around the best of the best in the sport. So we went as a team last year, and this year we decided to do individual. I'm in the Masters category now, which is the 35 to 39, so I don't have to run with the young kids anymore, because that got really difficult. So for the last 3 weeks, just doing their workouts that they release, trying to do those as best as you can, doing that while you're juggling, doing the class settings and things like that. And I was fortunate enough to qualify. They only take 13, and I ended up finishing 4th.
Wow.
So it was really wild, because when I first signed up and found out they only take 13, I immediately signed up for another division that I thought was kind of like my safe division. If I don't make this, I got this.
Is that like RX?
It was an intermediate.
Intermediate.
So,
okay. But you made it in the RX, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
how does that work?
And the Masters is kind of its own field. I mean, there is no RX, there is no scale. It's just the Masters field. So when I did that, there was a lot of self-doubt right away. Like instantly I doubted myself and said, hey, I'm going to do this too.
Yeah.
And then after the first week, I was in contention. And then after the second week, I was still in contention. And I thought, really, am I doing this? It was a really weird conversation I had with myself, because as an athlete, I mean, you always think you can do better.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. And then at the end of that third week, when the leaderboard closed and you saw it go up and down, and you're wanting to throw up every day, you find out, it stopped and you made it. It's just, it's hard to, to express to somebody sometimes who, hasn't been in that position. So really excited to do that. It's, it was a team effort really, because you had people in your corner that helped you out, believe in you, all that good stuff. So, that's the Wadapalooza part. And I forgot what the other question was. So,
that's all good.
Being an athlete.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So, who are your training partners usually? Who do you work out with?
I work out, not with a group. In between classes, and so guys that I've worked out for the last few years is Peyton and Todd. So equally, in terms of athleticism, mentality, it's all equal. it works out really well. You got Peyton, who's a young kid, phenomenal athlete.
Oh my gosh, that dude is amazing.
He's and I've told him this several times. He's different. I mean, he's young. He's very, very dedicated at a very young age, and so, they say, you look up to older people. I mean, I look up to him a lot in terms of, this kid has got it. He's got his things figured out.
He's got his head screwed on right,
doesn't he?
His head
screwed on right.
This is a shout out to you, Peyton. For those that don't know, Peyton and I went to class quite a bit on our exercise science program, and Peyton, you're an amazing dude, man. Strong too. Jeez, you're strong. So
and
powerful.
Equally, with Todd, he's been at our gym, I think 3 or 4 years now too, and just the same mentality. He's puts his head down and gets the job done. So we kind of all feed off of each other. There's some people out there who say, I can, turn the lights off, put my headphones and go to work. I mean, I thought that was me before, but now, I need that people. I need someone that I can, try to look up after, try to chase, I guess, try to want to be more like. And so that really helps, especially you might be having a bad day and they're in there grinding. And you're like, you know what, they're doing it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So that does help to, it's been a big help to my success in my athletic career. Definitely having people, that I get to work out with. I
agree. I think training partners I think people are starting to recognize how important they are, because a lot of athletes, you see them doing these workouts, 5-6 times a day. And a lot of them, you don't see them with anybody. And you're just like, well, I guess that's what I should be doing too. And especially, it's not just that. It's partly just being a coach. You are working out by yourself in between classes. Sure. I mean, usually you don't have the luxury of being able to take another coach's class, which would be nice. But we just don't have that luxury a lot of times. And sometimes it's easy to fall into that trap of just you wallowing in your, in your sweat and sorrow, and no one's there to give you an attaboy, and that's just kind of how it goes, and that's part of that's part of what made it so hard for me to keep pushing, because at that level you have to push really hard, and if you don't have anybody there to push you, I mean, it's really gnarly.
Yeah. And if there's some people out there in my same position, head coach, and also continuing to want to be competitive in this sport. It's hard to juggle that, because my first job is still my energy to the classes.
Yes.
And, I tell myself that every day, if I want to get an extra workout in, I said, am I going to be less of a coach than if I do this, if I'm exhausted? Because when they come in, they don't care.
Yeah.
And so that's been something that I've had to juggle recently. I used to do, 2-3 workouts a day, grind it, and then go be a coach. And then I realized, sometimes that affected my coaching because I was just too tired.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I realized, maybe just crank out that one workout and give it my best, and then, use the rest for that coaching. The coaching comes first.
And that's the other thing, too, that training partners are great for, is they really do make you push to your limits. Because if you don't have that training partner there, and this is, to coaches, but mostly what I'm saying right now goes to all those of you out there training in a garage by yourself.
Much respect.
Yeah, first of all, much respect that you guys are doing that day in and day out. But if you're by yourself in a garage, I mean, there's some people that can really push themselves. I mean, I guess Matt Frazier trained in his basement for a long time. But, for most of us, man, if you don't have that person next to you, right on your tail trying to beat your time, you are not giving 100%. It feels like 100%. But your true 100%, it's still out there, more than likely. And so, if I would highly recommend you at least drop into a gym once or twice a week, or just join a gym, or find somebody else to sweat with you in the garage who shares certain strengths and weaknesses that complement you. And I think that's one of the best things about training partners is you also get to see where you're deficient, where you're good.
And they'll let you know if they're good training partners. Yeah, they'll be like, I got you on that because of blank.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And probably rub it in your face.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I need that. You have a good time with it too. And especially when you have a hard workout, you get to, talk to each other, give a little, crap to each other. So it makes it enjoyable because the workouts are hard.
It does make it enjoyable. And, and I just, after suffering an injury this past year, I'm starting to get back into things, more frequently and hit things harder because I'm for the most part healed now. Not quite all the way there, but most of the way. But, some people's schedules shifted around, and now I'm working out with humans again. And let me tell you, it is so refreshing working out with people. I feel so much happier when I'm working out, and I'm pushing myself hard, and I feel great afterwards. So for those of you out there that might be struggling on the athletic side of things with burnout, I guess we're talking about burnout now.
Very good point.
That is training partners, fastest way to get you out of that burnout. People that you really like being around, people that might talk a little smack, but that's a great way to get out of that. So kind of going to your training schedule, you got your core group of training partners who are some pretty solid dudes. And Todd, hopefully I'll meet you in the future. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to you much, but sounds like you're a great dude. How does your guys' training look? Because, like, for those of you that don't know, Alan, I know you are a strong dude. I mean, if I remember right, back in the Open of 2018, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 18.2, which was a 1-rep max power clean, you hit like 380 something. Or
it was
what
close.
Was it?
I hit
I
hit a 370 at the time, and that's.
Jeez, oh,
it was my workout. I mean, lifting heavy has always been something that I've enjoyed throughout my whole life. I mean, it could have just been out in the backyard growing up, just picking up big rocks and throwing them. I think it's just something that I've always really enjoyed. It's just lifting something heavy. You know, someone telling me I can't pick it up and finding a way, whether it was safe or not, to try to figure out how to pick it up. So yeah, that definitely helped me.
Oh, that was incredible. So do you feel like then that's just mostly your genetic makeup, or do you feel like your programming is kind of favored strength? Like where does that
I think a little bit.
From?
You know, people will throw around like, well, he's got good genetics. It's that does help, but you have to use those genetics. You know, you can come from athletic family. Both my mom and dad played sports when they grew up, so I had that in me. But there's some my other siblings. They don't aspire to do that. I just, for whatever reason, it clicked with me, and I really enjoy it. So there's a lot of work that goes into it in terms of the programming. If you know anything about CrossFit programming, it's constantly varied. You try to dabble in all the different areas of fitness. Yeah. Cardio, weightlifting, gymnastics, and things like that. So you just keep it varied. And I know for me, I get excited when I see a barbell. Yeah. And I understand that, but also, too, try to be just as equally excited when I see, some ring muscle-ups or, walking on your hands and things like that. Being a bigger guy,
you did just roll your eyes, though, when you said that.
It's a little different from a bigger guy, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're keeping the programming, varied, do you usually do strength work most days of the week, though?
Yeah,
still?
I do. I follow a weightlifting program. I kind of just, some days if I'm feeling it, I'll do it. Just try to grind it out most days. But my training, what it looks like is I think probably at least 3 to 4 days a week there's weightlifting. And then equally there's some sort of conditioning that either encompasses some of the weightlifting or just, our programming for the day. Yeah. I do our programming that we do every day. Okay. So
the program that you have for the gym, you are doing yourself.
As well.
I think that's super helpful. And it's inspiring to the athletes.
I think it really is. That's something that I've believed in since day one. I think like your members, if they see you doing it, they're like, oh, okay, he's getting results doing what we're doing. I just feel like it's something that gives you credibility. Yes. If you're doing something else, but you're a part of the place, then they're kind of like, well, why aren't you doing this programming? Yeah. Is there something we should be doing differently? Right. So I've always tried to stick with what we're doing. And it's worked out. In my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, there's no specific program, that I guess I don't know how to phrase this, that is going to be better than the other. Yeah. It's going to come down to what kind of work you put into it. Yeah. It could be something really simple, and if you give your all, you're going to get better. It could be a program designed by the best programmer in the world, but if you give it 50%, it's going to look like nothing. Yeah. So, when it comes to that, I just feel like I'll do our programming and give it my best shot.
There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot that goes into programming, as you well know. There's a lot, especially in CrossFit programming. That has got to be, one of the hardest things to really wrap your mind around. And actually, I was having a conversation with one of our coaches in training today about, the flow when you look at something. And now after looking at it for years, I can see patterns and I can kind of take for granted, easily seeing where gaps are in the program. But for most people, it's just like, it kind of just looks random, and there's a plan to it, and you'll explain it to them like, no, there's a plan to all this.
True,
but
you have to explain to them what's going on,
and I think that's good that we do explain it because, and I think it's good we do it too because we put our money where our mouth is.
Exactly, that's the way I've always felt about that. So that's typically I'm a one workout type of guy. I used to do multiple training sessions when I first got into it. I was gung ho. And then as you get older, you realize, what, that's not working. Yep. It does work for some. I found out that, one time a day for me is sufficient to, meet my goals.
And that's another big key thing that I've noticed, especially over the past year now probably, that's really stuck out to me is just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean you should be doing it. You don't know how many other life stressors they have compared to you. You might have way more life stressors, and they might not. They might have, a different schedule that allows them to sleep more. And more is not always better. Better is better. And so if you're just thrashing yourself day in and day out and you're not making a whole lot of progress, why don't you try to do one a day and see if you make more progress? We had an athlete here that I was talking to him about that, and I was like, let's just do one workout a day for like a month. Let's see what happens. Deadlift shot up like 40 pounds. And it's like he went from 1 or 2 bar muscle ups to like 5. So it's not like he just got fat, you know what I mean? Like